we are literally limitless. You can have anything. You just have to put in the time and make sure that your message with the universe is in sync.
One of the things I talk about a lot with my colleagues in our own business and also a lot of the clients that we work with is about how to grow the business. Where are the new opportunities? Where are the blue oceans? The guest that we've got on the podcast today is someone that we've been talking to and following for quite some time. And I believe these guys have got a really interesting view and approach to the industry, not because it's an interesting product, although the product's fantastic, but in terms of the concept and the direction that these guys are moving into as it relates to the health and fitness industry. So have a listen to it. I hope it triggers off a few ideas. I hope it inspires you to think differently about what you're doing in your business. And I'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts in terms of this general recovery category. So please let me know what you think, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. When I heard I was meeting Dr. Jason, you know, you have these kind of pictures of someone. So I had this guy in a white coat with sort of, you know, short dark hair and glasses, a sort of real slight guy. And when I came in, there was this sort of big butch guy, totally the opposite to what I thought.
That's funny. I get that a lot, actually.
And I hear you've got in the back of us, you've got you're a practicing chiropractor, is it?
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that makes what we're doing as a company a little bit different than other products that are on the market. You know, I'm driven by that. I enjoy working on patients, and to take that experience that I've had for the last 8 to 10 years and apply that to our education, our applications, and a lot of the things. You know, people don't know that I work on stroke patients. You know, they think that all I do is work on pro athletes, and that's not. I get more gratification out of seeing massive changes in people's lives, naturally. And with athletes, it's enjoyable, and I have a lot of fun. But you're getting 1% change in their lives, but 1% to them is relative, and that's a big change sometimes. So this keeps me grounded. It keeps me really engaged in the things that I really love to do, and I'm blessed enough that I get to still do that. So don't threaten me with that, or we'll have a problem.
And you were saying that you now just do that complimentary for people. Is that right?
Yeah. You know, it's a blessing. You know, I really get as much out of it, I feel like, as the person that I'm working on. It's like solving a riddle, and every riddle is a little bit different. And for me to get to the point where they can move better, or they feel better, or they get up, and it's really about changing their paradigm. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but everyone has a thing, and they're really attached to that thing. You know, like we talked about your hip. I can use another basketball player. You know, they have these stories in their mind about what that is, and to me, all I'm hearing is limitations. And let me see if I can push that boundary a little bit and get you thinking outside of that space where you've been confined for so long. And that's one of the things that our brand is really trying to help people understand, is that story isn't the real story. Let's change that a little bit. So yes, I am blessed enough that I don't have to charge, but I think it's a little bit selfish on my part too, that I get to do it.
Yeah. And you mentioned off camera that you've got a slightly different approach to most chiropractors in terms of how you work with clients.
Yeah.
What would that be?
You know, most chiropractors look at the body holistically. You know, it's not just a hand. It's how that hand is engaged with the rest of the body, and how it moves when they walk, or their head when they turn and rotate, how that affects all the way down to your foot. So I'm looking more globally, and a lot of times, I was actually just working on one of our employees out here who fell down some stairs, and she was touching a certain part of her shoulder, but I knew it was coming from somewhere else. So I hit a couple of spots in her low back and in her shoulder, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So that's also, I think, something that I've really worked on over the years, is understanding their energy, their mechanics, their gait pattern, and also working on the nervous system, because a lot of this is driven by our nervous system. And we receive information, and then we put information out. And people don't know, but that's two different pathways. And then you also have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which is the rest and digest and the fight or flight. And a lot of times people are in that fight or flight because they're dealing with pain and stress of the day. If I can get them out of there and into that rest and digest, then I start to see the body in a more real state. Right. Because an athlete on the court, that's just what he does when he's playing. If you get him in a setting where he's comfortable and relaxed, his body won't lie to me. So those are things that I'm looking for, and it's not always about an adjustment. That's just one of the maybe 10 or 20% of what I do. So right. It can be taxing sometimes working on people because you take that energy and I get really attached to what I'm doing. But it's also so rewarding as well.
Going slightly off subject though, but do you find sometimes some of the issues then are kind of more to do with the sort of emotional states that people are in rather than just the
absolutely,
mechanics?
Yeah, really? Absolutely, and it's limiting. It's whether you're an Ironman triathlete who has this ability to flip to mind over matter, there's still a physiological effect. Something's happening, and it's this nagging thing, but it's still people being able to switch away from that limitation. If I can get them out of there for just a minute and give them some hope about what we could potentially do, sometimes I get 10% change on a table. Sometimes I get 50% change on the table. But all I want is some percentage, because that means we're making some progress. And that's really what I'm looking for. And it's a lot of feedback. Tell me how you feel, what's going on, what does that feel like to you? And I want to know what you feel on the ground when you walk. And I want to know what you feel when you stand up. Is it lighter? Is it heavier? So it's a little bit different. But I don't want to say, I'm not arrogant enough to think I'm special or different than anyone. I've just kind of gone down this path that I've really had this attachment to, and that drives me a little bit more than traditional chiropractic.
Yeah. So tell us your story. How did you get into this, and what caused you to get into that line of being a chiropractor initially?
Well, I grew up, one of my dad's really good friends was a chiropractor. So I was introduced to it when I was little, and it was in a positive setting. I think a lot of people, especially in the States, have this kind of a weird connotation about what chiropractic is. I think chiropractors in general have shot themselves in the foot a little bit and not worked with the medical field. Mm-hmm. They've always kind of separated themselves. And look, some of my best friends are medical doctors, physiotherapists that are in that space, but I need that. It's so important to me. So I grew up next door to me. I grew up in Utah. The chiropractor for the Utah Jazz, the NBA basketball team, was my neighbor, and I watched what he would do. I tweaked my ankle in football when I was in high school, and I just happened to see him outside, and I had him look at it, and he fixed it and I thought, oh my gosh, what that is, I want to do that. So he actually wrote my admission letter application. You get recommended by a chiropractor to go to school, and he actually wrote the letter, and it was really interesting. Some of the things he wrote about me, I didn't understand at the time, but they've sort of come to pass over the last 20 years of me doing this. So he kind of drove.
What were some of the things he noticed then?
Well, one of the things he wrote in there that Jason in the Hebrew name means healer, and I never knew that, and that drove me. And then my interest in the body. I've always been active and played sports, and I've been blessed enough to be gifted and athletically gifted in certain areas. So that always intrigued me. Like, what makes someone different on the field or on the court or on the pitch than me? And he knew that, so I was really inquisitive in a lot of things he would do. Like, you work on a big guy and you work on a little guy. What are the differences? And so over time, I've become passionate about what I do, and that's one of the things he mentioned. That I have a lock onto something, and then I get really passionate about it. Those are some of the things, but he really got me thinking about it. And I went through some things in life, and I didn't start as early as I should have, but that's how life is. And I got to come back around to be a chiropractor when I was 29. I actually went back to school, and it's, I wouldn't be who I am without all the challenges that I've been through. So I've grown to appreciate that.
I guess there's a lot of chiropractors out there. You seem to have been able to develop a career and work with some, I guess, very respected clients. How did you? What did you do? I guess do to be able to kind of get to the level you have done and to have the success you've done as a chiropractor.
I think a principle that I learned when I was younger is that you need to be a jack of all trades to some extent. I never really wanted to be stuck in finance or science or whatever nothing wrong against those, but I just didn't want to be just this one thing. So when I started going to chiropractic school, I realized what they were giving me was just almost like the menu of what was available. And I didn't have the ability in school to reach out and grab these different modalities, and these different theories, I think is the right word, of how to do chiropractic. So I worked with one guy. I'd work for people for free. Hey, can I come in your clinic and just learn what you do? And some of those people had celebrities and influential people as their clients. And because I was a little bit older, I don't think I was awestruck by them. I joke with people, whether it's Carmen Electra or my sister. If they're laying face down on a table, it's a body. So I learned that it doesn't really matter. And also there's they don't get to be in a space where they're not looked at or that people taking things from them. And I need their energy to be open.
Right.
And what motivated me to do that was that's what I need from them. So I can't geek out about them or be, fan out about them. So I learned early on that they're like us. They work, they strive, they're successful in their craft, and that should be respected. So learning that early on, coupled with the fact that I would bounce around to different chiropractic offices and create friendships, and some guys I'd meet at the gym or I'd meet at the soccer pitch. I played soccer here in Santa Monica. And I'd just get to know them, and then I'd show up and I'd kind of get their theory of what they're doing in their practice. And I learned that a lot of people, those four walls kind of limit you sometimes. You get doing your normal thing and you're trudging along, and that's not what I wanted. So, and I'm telling you, I honestly didn't know that I would end up where I'm at.
Really?
No, that wasn't the goal. I just was blessed in different opportunities to be with certain people.
So you went from, I guess, working with individual clients, which is providing a service, I guess, to a product company. Was that more based on a business evolution to say, look, if you financially you need to do something different, or was it by accident that you did that to help what you was doing? How did that all come together?
It was by accident.
Really?
Yeah, pun intended. I actually got in a motorcycle accident. I was driving on the freeway here in LA, splitting traffic like you do, and a car cut me off, and I hit the side of this car going 55 miles an hour. I don't care who you are, how you're built, that our bodies aren't supposed to do that. So I sustained a lot of soft tissue damage from that accident. It was literally the last few months of my chiropractic school. So I made all these sacrifices. I was driven by doing what I was doing, and then suddenly I was a patient. And as we mentioned before, I'd always been athletic and gifted, and I was never really hurt, and I'd never been in that space. And so suddenly I was in that space, and it was scary. And I wasn't sure how I was going to get out of it.
Really?
Sorry.
That's all right. So how long were you sort of injured for then?
So my accident was the end of 2007. It was in October. It was actually almost however many years ago that was. And the worst of it didn't happen for a couple of months. I was athletic and I thought, wow, I got up and just walked away from it. I had some cuts and damage and stuff, but as it started to settle in, it really started to change my life. I started having extreme pain, nerve pain. And I didn't understand that because I didn't get hurt. Well, why am I hurt? So I got an MRI and I figured out what it was. And then in January of 2008, I started experimenting with vibration. A brother of mine's a chiropractor as well, and he'd been in an injury prior to mine, and I remembered him using that, and I called him, what was that? And he told me what it was. And so just to answer your question quickly, this product came from an accident. And it came from a selfish decision I made to fix myself. I needed something. I didn't have the money. I figured it was out there, but I made something and it worked.
And with just on that, when you said you had some nerve issues, what was it then that came after the accident then?
So I ended up having a 9mm disc bulge in my neck at C5, C6. And anyone that understands anatomy, there's less than 2 millimeters of space between where the disc starts or ends and where the outside of your dura is. And the minute that starts bulging into there, you're affecting all that anatomy. So my median nerve was completely blocked, and I couldn't feel these 3 fingers, total atrophy, my pec minor, my tricep was gone. I mean, I looked like I had some problems. The atrophy only comes from the nerve being impinged, and the nerve was impinged for a long time, several days, 90 days almost. And you kind of go crazy when you're in that much pain for that long. And I joke with people, the nervous system, the nerves don't have a time clock. It doesn't know it's nighttime. It doesn't care. So I started using this for pain. It wasn't for performance. It wasn't to let a muscle go. It was literally to take the pain away. And then that was in 2008. Fast forward to today, I understand now what was happening. We've done research and science that validates a lot of the things that I experienced back then. So
when you had the first, going back to your accident then, what did you make something up yourself to create that vibration?
Yeah. My brother told me about a product that he was using, and it's called a vibrocussor. It's a standard product chiropractors have been using for years. And it vibrates at variable speeds, but it doesn't have an amplitude, which means that throw or the piston moving up and down. And I knew the vibration wasn't working. And what I kept thinking is, I need something stronger. I'm a little bit bigger guy to get through my tissue to the area under my shoulder blade where I knew the problem was. I could feel it, but I couldn't get to it. And this product that I had, this vibrating product, was more of a global experience. It would take the pain away for a period of time, 5-10 minutes, but then it just set right back in. You know, there's a thing called accommodation. You put your watch on, and at some point your brain stopped thinking about it. That's accommodation. So my body would accommodate or get used to that vibration really quickly. And it got used to it faster over the days. So it became less and less effective. So I like to tell people necessity is the mother of invention. I needed something.
Yeah.
It's crazy I sometimes get.
No, that's all good.
Sorry about that. But I created this from a selfish perspective. Yeah. I had patients. I just finished school. I had kids. All these things were weighing on me, and I thought, I need to get better. Like, I need to get better now. And so I literally, you know, I spent a lot of time in construction, and my family had a farm as I grew up, and you become resourceful when you're around those things. So I literally was sitting in my apartment at 3 in the morning, and I thought, I have a jigsaw in my shed. I wonder if I can make that work. And so I did. Took it in and did some things to it and made it work, and I started using it on myself, and it was amazing. Remember the first time I put it on my body, I sat back, and for 4 or 5 minutes the pain was gone. I could breathe, and I almost fell asleep. And I hadn't slept for days. So that's what kind of started this whole thing, is me treating myself, learning over the first 6 months of 2008 from pain relief to facilitating my own therapy to getting back into the gym and it becoming this recovery product. And then I got better and I put it away. And I really thought, okay, I'm cool. I'll see something like this on the market. A few months later in 2008, a patient came in who'd been in a bus head-on collision. He was a bus driver, and he had some similar injuries. And I'm looking at his paperwork and his diagnostic studies and then putting this story together, and it was me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this will work on him. So he came in, and it did. And I thought.
And what was going with the vibration then? What is it actually doing without getting too kind of technical?
I appreciate you asking that, because people do, and I've learned how to hopefully explain it in a simple way. When you experience pain travels through a specific pathway in our body to the brain. Right. And that's that job. That's job. So you think of the 405. It's a freeway. It's not a surface street. So you do things on that freeway, and it runs at 55 miles an hour. And ironically, The pain pathway runs at 55 miles an hour. So if you stub your toe or you have that hip pain, that's traveling to the brain at 55 miles an hour. I like to joke about, the cartoon, someone gets smashed and they have that throb. Well, we have another part of our nervous system that actually travels to the brain at 268 miles an hour. And if you can stimulate that nervous system, it's getting to the brain faster than the pain.
Right.
So what I would do is I would stimulate that part of my nervous system and it would take the pain away or override the pain because it's getting in there faster where the pain's coming in at this constant 55. So what vibration does and percussion is it stimulates that faster pathway. But our deeper amplitude actually releases tension in the body. It inhibits the body's ability to splint. So you couple those two things together, it's magic.
And when you say splint, what does that mean? Like sort of hold it?
Guarding or tension.
Okay, right.
Most of us have tension and we carry our tension wherever we carry it. You talk to an accountant and he's a surfer, he'll tell you that his tension sitting at his desk is different than it is when he's in the water. So whether it's self-inflicted either way, this takes away the tension. It literally relieves the tension. And part of the reason that we've become so successful is it works right now. You feel it right now. It's not something you have to wait 24 hours, wait till the next day. So that's what really is happening in the body when you use percussion, right. Is it's getting deeper into the tissue where it's actually releasing, physiologically, it's releasing things inside the body that cause the body to relax. It's different than vibration. Right. Vibration's a global experience. You ever stood on a vibrating platform, it radiates through your whole body. You stand there long enough, your body becomes what they call noxious. It becomes numb to it. Or you become numb. It's not what I want. I want to stimulate the nervous system. So that's what percussion does. Right, okay. Percussive therapy is really different than vibration.
Right. And so, because I've seen, obviously there's, since you've had this for a few years and there's other items on the market.
Yeah.
Were any of those there before you and sort of thinking on similar lines, or is the Theragun really the first one that's done this?
Theragun is the first percussive therapy product. And when I first started this, it was called Theragun, and people had a problem, whether it was my mom or a brother or a friend, you can't call it Theragun. But now it's a massage gun industry. And if you look on the market, on Amazon, anywhere you Google massage guns, you'll see 50 of them. So I say it in humility, but it is the truth that I did create that space. But there's also a lot of obligation when you do that. I've got to validate it, and I have to be able to do this and talk about it. For many years, I was ridiculed and pushed aside, and that's not good here, and you've got to go somewhere else. But every time I put it on someone, it was magic, and I couldn't walk away from that. So to get back to your question, there are a lot of knockoffs, and that's what they are. And back to one of the first questions you asked me about me still practicing, that's a really, really valuable part of what we do, that I'm still engaged in what I'm doing every day. These are products. They're just, other competitors are just selling a product. And we have an entire ecosystem. This really does help people. And, I thought 10 years ago when people said people are going to copy me, I thought it was a joke. But there's more and more every week that are jumping on this bandwagon.
So how long have you actually had a commercial product that you've been offering then? Because you're a relatively new company, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I started using it on my patients in 2009 because I saw what it did to that one I mentioned. And I used it in my clinic. And then in 2011, I started using it on pro athletes. So as a business, I met my current business partner at the end of 2015, and we started Theragun as a company in the beginning of 2016. Right. We launched our first commercial product with e-commerce and shipping and all that in June of 2016. So that was our G1. And then a year later, we released our G2, which was my seventh version over time. This one is number 10. And then in 2019, we released this G3 Pro, January. Then in April of 2019, we released three more products. So this is 10, 11, 12. We've been doing this for many years, I have. But as a company, we've been running since 2016.
So it's relatively quick. With had a business for 21 years now, and I know how long it takes to get a product off. What do you think was part of the reason that this sort of exploded? It probably doesn't seem as though it's quick from your mind, but what caused it to sort of
overnight
explode
success?
Like
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I really believe that I was blessed in ways to meet people and be in the right settings that set a good foundation, so that when we did get on the market and it was available online, people had already heard about it. I mean, I say people in LA, people in New York, and they became a voice for us. The fact that we grew so fast was not just one thing. It was many things. It was our ability to continue to innovate and create better products. It was our ability to communicate and have relationships with special people who were willing to help us. And at the time, we're not Nike. We don't have that kind of money, but we've had a lot of support from people who've either done it for free out of the goodness of their heart, or they just happened to post and that thing took off virally for us. But it really is a combination of a bunch of things. And I think having the right people at our company is a really big factor. The relationships we have from London to Serbia and Australia, and these are friends of ours. They're really people I communicate with all the time. So I don't know that you could duplicate what we're doing. And I couldn't point to one thing that makes us special. We have an app that makes it easy for people to use. That's just one of the parts that makes this ingredients altogether such a successful company.
What are your thoughts about the knockoffs? When you developed it, did you try and get some sort of IP around it, or?
Yeah, in 2010, my third version was really similar to a lot of the knockoffs on the market. Looked kind of like a tomahawk or a hammer. It just had one grip. And in 2010, I was experimenting. I was trying to find what's the best way to apply this product and have the leverage that I need as a chiropractor. And I learned back then that doesn't work. When you're holding on to something in your wrist, with your wrist and your elbow, you lose all your feel. As a chiropractor, my hands are my eyes. And I can't have something between me and you that blinds me. I need something that facilitates a better feeling and me understanding what's going on in your body. So in 2011, I went away from that. And what's interesting is I know what these guys are trying to do. I did that in 2010 and it doesn't work. And people will figure that out. One of the most special things about our product is its ergonomics, that it balances. If I take this thing off and I hold that in my finger, that literally balances on one finger. But it's not a magic trick. It really facilitates more feel through your hand and in your body. And I need this to do the work, not me, if that makes sense. So,
where did you originally intend this to go then? Was it for like a consumer to do it with themselves? Was it to get in the hand of other chiropractors? Was it to, where did you sort of see the market?
Early on in 2009 and 10 and 11, I thought the way I was going to do this was get it into physios, physical therapists, DPTs, and chiros. They're the ones that are going to help me cure the world. And so I started going into that space, but because at the time it didn't have science, there was no research, it was all anecdotal, I got a lot of resistance. And I wasn't going to give up. So I was literally door to door, knocking on, going and seeing guys. Hey, try this out. Come in your room. Let me show you what this feels like. And I was mildly successful. What happened at the time, I was thinking this is great for ACLs and sore shoulders and headaches and plantar fasciitis and all these things I would see in my clinic. But what happened is I started using it on athletes. And then I accidentally started seeing that it worked for performance enhancing. It would actually give guys their personal records, whether it was a 40-yard dash or a bench press. And then they were coming back to me and saying, this is amazing for recovery. So I thought, okay, well, I need to add that to my toolbox and figure out why that's happening. And that's what I did. So when I use it on a client and a patient, my expected outcome is what drives my need for that. So if it's increased range of motion, then I know I'm going to use it for a certain thing. If it's for recovery, then I use it for a different way. If it's for facilitation of the nervous system, like with a stroke patient, then I use it in certain ways there. So what really makes us special also as a company is we have protocols for those things. I've been doing it for so long now that we put protocols into place, we get research that validates that, here you go. And I say it kind of off the cuff, but it really, you want this, here's the message. I'm proud to be able to do that now. That for many years I couldn't. I'd just say, just trust me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go very far.
You talked about the research. What are some of the research that you've done, and what have you found out as a result of doing it?
When we started doing research, it's not something that I was really engaged in as I went to school. So research wasn't one of my strong points. So I would have, a trainer from Arsenal in London, or a physiotherapist in New York say, show me some research. And I would think, what do you mean? For what? I kind of use this comparison that if you see a box of crayons, there's like 200 colors. So if you ask for a crayon and don't tell me what color, we're stuck. I don't know what to give you. So I started realizing when they ask for research, it's up to me. I need to decide what that research is. So I started taking these things that I had experienced, these anecdotal experiences, and I started realizing, okay, well, it's great for recovery. Let's validate that. So we did a study in Austria, where it actually proves that it oxygenates a muscle in a faster period of time, in a healthier way, where the body can actually recover better than any other product on the market. Right. We did another study where I talked about performance enhancing, facilitating the body's ability to move better. So we did this thing in Malaga, Spain, and it proved that we actually are 7 times more effective than manual therapy. I never want to ever discount a massage therapist, but if you know as a massage therapist you have something that can work in a specific area faster than your hands, why would you not use that? We just finished some studies at a school in Long Island, New York. They did 5 research studies, and it's all around performance. So they did a 100-yard swim, a 100-meter dash, a long jump, a press, and then something else. And we're using it as a baseline. They don't use it, and then they add it in their exercises, and they're actually having performance-enhancing effects. So it's really exciting to me that I'm actually checking a lot of those boxes that I was seeing for so many years, that I can now say, I told you it worked. So those are some of the research studies we're doing, and we're always doing another one. I just had a conversation with we have a guy that heads up all our research. I had another conversation with him today about how including this in your workout
your colleague was saying about
such a big difference.
Yeah, actually,
and people don't think of that.
No.
Yeah.
So what's the sort of theory behind doing it?
So the theory is as you create toxins in your body from working out, that lactic acid is what people have referred to it for years. I call it toxins because it is a toxin. It cannot exist in a muscle where there is oxygen. So if you work out, you sit and do knee extensions, and your quads are just blowing up with all this blood, it needs help to facilitate that blood flow. And when you put Theragun on, it's causing that what's called reperfusion. When I pinch my finger and I release that, it goes white and then red. That's happening, so it's pushing that blood flow out and bringing new blood flow in. It's allowing that facilitation of blood flow. So now you're pushing the toxins out. But if I sat here and I did 3 sets of 30, and then I did recovery after, you're never going to make up for that over time. So I've learned through my own experience and watching other professional athletes, you implement this into their workout, it's crazy. They're doing more on their last set than they were on their first set. And what more do you want as an athlete, as a performer? But then you break that down and give that to the regular person. It's going to help you stand longer at your desk, or it's going to help you after a long commute home to be able to use this and facilitate that new blood flow. And that's usually what happens. That blood sits there. It's like a stream that doesn't move. How much mold is in there? And then a river that's rushing, it can't be in there. So it's the toxins that you're flushing out, and it's facilitating that.
Right. And so what are you seeing people just, kind of do it every day then? Is that what,
Yeah. I mean, we have a thing we say, do it twice a day for 2 minutes. Right. And it really is just anywhere you feel tension. And then I also take that one step further and I say paint your entire body from toes to shoulders. And especially before you go to bed, do that once and you'll sleep like a baby, and you kind of get addicted to it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of the category then that you're in, certainly on the podcast we've heard a lot of people talk about, you've got the hip workout, so everybody's kind of smashing themselves up, and the sort of whole recovery side seems to be this new area. What's your thought on how those two fit together? Is it is this the beginning of a sort of a whole new potential business and industry, and where do you see it going, and what are some of the things influencing that?
In general, most of the things we're doing in a day is breaking us down. Whether it's staring at your phone all day with your head pitched way forward, and then you go and do a HIIT workout. Your mechanics aren't prepared for that, so it's more breakdown. And it is, honestly, I think you said it best, it really is going to change the face of workouts, exercise, pain. When I tell someone this will replace Advil, that's the furthest thing from their mind. But why are you taking Advil? You want to increase blood flow, decrease inflammation, take away the pain. That's exactly what Theragun does, but it does it now. So it really will change the face of exercise, pain, facilitating movement. That patient I mentioned to you working with strokes, he has a voice and he has a platform. Now, do I think it's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 years? Probably not. But it really depends on that voice. Are people listening to what he's saying? And I'm blessed enough to be in those spaces, and I can tell you that in the next 4 or 5 years, percussive therapy is going to be a common name. People will understand what that is.
Right. Do you think that we're going in a direction where we're sort of making this, or making ourselves a little bit worse without having that? Because I guess if when you read any type of media or whatever, it's there's a big focus on the pushing hard, the lose weight, sort of. Yeah, like you say, breaking yourself down. Do you think, I'll use the term sort of like a fitness industry, but do you think we're sort of gone a little bit off center in terms of the messaging that we're putting out there?
Absolutely, I do. If I have this conversation a lot, but if you jump on Google and you Google workout, it'd take you months to get to the end of that search. But if you Google recovery, what is recovery?
Yeah.
I define recovery as both an action and a state of being. The action is, have you recovered? Are you recovering? Which is a verb. You're taking part in something that is helping your body get to where you can do the same thing on Tuesday that you did on Monday. And that's commuting, being a dad, a mom, whatever that is. What's happening now is it's lopsided. There's a workout place on every corner. I think in Australia, someone told me there are more F45s than there are Starbucks and 7-Elevens. Think about that stat. Wow. How many people are going in and crushing their bodies? And there's really not enough education around recovery. And one of the things that I love about Theragun is its efficiency and its effectiveness. It doesn't take hours. And look, the old times of foam rolling have become almost as guilty as not brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
But why? Do we know how to foam roll? Do we understand what's happening to the body? Theragun allows that same result in a shorter period of time with a lot less pain.
Yeah, I think the foam rolling for me, like as much as we have foam rollers in our range for a number of years now. I understand it. I've spoken to a lot of people about it, but for me, it's like time that I don't have.
Right.
It's like before the workout. Yeah. Even though you feel the difference, it's like I just need to do my workout. I've got a break in my lunch. I need to do it. So It's always that thing that you kind of skip. I guess the thing I like since I've had one of these is, you're right. It's you can kind of get quite quickly to. I don't know whether I'm even doing it right, to be honest, but it feels as though
you get it on you and it feels good, then you're doing it right.
It feels as though it's just a little bit easier to do. And I suppose in this day and age, people want. It's all about speed. Not that that's really probably what recovery should be about.
No, but that's real though. That's a real conversation. If the lights are off and the cameras are gone and you and I are having that's really a real conversation. And people I see where I live and when I'm at hotels, they're in and out of that room and They walk right by the foam roller. I mean, there's hotels making them available in the room, and people still aren't using them for that same point. I don't have 20 minutes to 45 minutes every day to do that. Should I? Probably. Where's that guilt is of, not using it? But having this facilitates that in such a short period of time and it actually feels good. When I foam roll, I sweat. It's a workout. After my workout, to be able to have something where I can sit and watch TV and just hit the areas where I'm sore, that's one more factor that makes this such a valuable product.
And is it doing similar things to what foam rolling does?
Yes. Yeah. One of the studies we did in Malaga, Spain, actually proved that Theragun is 4 times more effective than foam rolling. Now, what's back again to what I was saying? What is recovery? So if you're taking part in a recovery act, the state of recovery is waking up the next day and not feeling the pain of the day prior. So that's my definition. And I've actually talked about this with a lot of different people. And if you're working out every day, your ability to thrive in life is your ability to continually get better. And if we're breaking our bodies down over and over again, yes, it is built to recover. It is built to rebuild. I cut my arm, it builds up, scab, tissue, now all of a sudden it's gone. This scar I had from my motorcycle accident. That is nature doing its thing. But if you can facilitate that and help it along the way, then you're just adding to our body's natural way to heal. But if you're breaking it down more than, it's simple math. If you're breaking it down more than you're actually building it up, you're going to eventually break it down to where you're injured, you can't move, you have tendonitis, you have sore back. There's so many things that are generated from that overwork and not taking the right amount of time to recover. One of the things, again, that makes this special is that you get literally a full body's recovery session in 6 to 8 minutes, and it feels good. I mean, I'm not trying to sell this, but that's a pretty easy pitch.
And alongside using something like the Theragun, what else in terms of recovery? What else do you put in? Is there some tips in terms of hydration or anything else that helps work together?
Absolutely. There's CBD is becoming a more accepted product, and our bodies actually carry cannabinoids, but it's a low level of that. And our body's ability to maintain homeostasis, which is balance, it's not always working on our immune system. It's not always working on this tear down tissue. So hydration and proper nutrition, 80% of what you do is what you eat. And I mean, you could be the most unhealthy person in the world. This still feels good, but you're not a healthy person because of what you're eating and taking in your body. So hydration is great, the proper nutrition, and things like CBD that are on the market now, whether you're ingesting that or putting it on topically on your body, that is a healing property. It has healing factors in it. So, because the cool thing about life now is that it's such a small world, is I can get a workout from a guy in Australia, and I can also find out more about these healing properties, or these healing, access these healing properties or medications or whatever you want to call them. I can do that online as well. I just don't think people go for that. I think they're looking for the new, biggest, greatest workout.
And it's difficult because there's, since I've been in, on here in California, there's CBD and everything from dog chews to soaps and you name it. And I've tried, different formulas, and just because they say it's good for inflammation recovery, but I never really. Are you actually meant to feel a difference on that? Are you meant to know, or is it just stuff that happens inside?
The feeling, I think, and I do it a lot. I have CBD, and it's something that I've included into my recovery and sleep and things like that. It's not a feeling like drunk or euphoria. It's a state of being, and I like it. You have an overall sense of well-being, and that's a little bit different than feeling loopy or dizzy from smoking or drinking or something. So I think that's one of the misnomers about that, is people think, oh God, it's this thing, but it's not. It really does, and it's just like anything else. And I think this is a message I really hope people pay attention to, is CBD is not a one-time thing. It's really about being consistent and adding that into your diet that really does help from digestion to blood flow to vision to recovery to sleep. There's so many amazing things about that are going to come out over the next few years as it becomes legal in more states.
Right. And is it right that it's supposed to sort of reduce inflammation from after?
Yes. Yeah. It has the ability to clean our vein, our venous system. There's some really cool factors to it. One of the biggest things about CBD that people should pay attention to is your body's ability to absorb it. So its effectiveness. And there's not a regulatory system in the States yet that really has been able to manage that. So it's just like buying things off the shelf. So you just need to make sure you get it from someone that has the right research behind it.
Yeah. So in terms of this recovery category, we've probably got a lot of people listening to this that are thinking, what's the business opportunity? Maybe they're in boutique HIIT studios or clubs or trainers. What's your views on where this is going, and for the business investor side, what do you see some of the interesting trends and opportunities to sort of get involved in this on some level?
We have Theragun itself. We have a offering that we have called Theragun Network, and there's your ability to use the product and then also share that with other people. So I think from sharing that information organically all the way to the other end, there's a place in Miami that actually has a recovery class that they have Theraguns, 15, 20 Theraguns, and you go and sit down and that's your station, and they have someone walk you through this. And it's a little bit like, it's kind of meditation / assisted stretching / recovery classes. And they're now in the Cleveland Clinic. We work closely with this company. So that's what's going to happen. So people looking...
So it's like a studio which does...
Yeah, imagine a yoga studio that with the lights down, comfortable music being played. Back to what I was telling you, you're turning on that parasympathetic nervous system, which is when the healing happens. You turn that on, get into a relaxed state, and you start using this and someone helping you facilitate that. So whether you're a trainer and you want to have added value or added income, you can join our network. You can actually generate revenue by sharing the product with them, all the way up to being an instructor on a class. The class is called Flow, which is kind of a cool name. And it's really getting your body into the flows and the rhythms of your day, and having that what guides you instead of honk, honk, beep, beep, the hustle bustle, to where your body can be recovered. So honestly, I really feel like it's an endless opportunity. It's understanding how to apply it into people's lives so it works. One of the things we talk about is behavior change and changing people's behavior and getting people to understand why it's important to recover. And you can't if you just talk about it and there's no way to do it. So if you have the ability now, whether it's with a product like Theragun or this class like Flow, you have these options now, and they'll become more and more prevalent out there. There's also, we opened a retail place called Reset. And reset is a word that I use with my patients. We mentioned earlier some of the people I treat. I'll text them or give them a call, hey, you need a reset. And they know what that means. They need to reset their system and get them back to where they want to be. And we have Theragun Reset at the Century City Mall, where you can go in and have an experience. It's a 15-minute experience. When you get up off that table, it's like an hour-long massage.
So that's like a retail store, from what I understand. Is that right?
Yeah. So we sell products there, but honestly, our main reason for doing that is we've realized that if people feel this, it changes their paradigm. And I can't run around door to door doing that. I mean, I guess I could, but that's not the best use of my time. So we set up Reset, and we will have more of those as time goes by. But there are places like that where people can go and partake in something like cryotherapy or intravenous injections that has vitamin B and a lot of the other health concoctions, I think you could call it, or an ingredients that helps your body recover and helps build your immune system. So these things are becoming more prevalent, and you just need to look for them.
What are you seeing some of the, when you open, how long you had the store in Century City?
We opened, it's probably been, I don't know, when did we open? I have to ask someone. Was it September, August? August.
August.
So we opened there in August,
right?
And it's done much better than we thought it would. what we realize is a lot of people want to feel it. So, oh my gosh, I've seen this on Instagram. What does it do? And then, oh, wow. I joke a lot. You owe me $10 every time you say wow or oh my God. And it happens a lot of that at our store. But then in the back, we have an actual experience where there's a massage table and there's trained people that actually use 2 Theraguns, and they'll give you what we call a sweep. It's from head to toe, back up. Takes probably 8 to 10 minutes with some breathing exercises, some stretching. And when they walk out of there, it's like, oh my God. So that's just one more offering that we've provided that are also other opportunities out there that people can partake. That it's like I said a second ago, though, they're just, I don't know that that's fresh on their mind, but it will be over the next few years, I think.
Yeah. And what are you, when you do that sweep, are you charging people? Are they coming in and
Yeah, it's a $25 charge.
Okay.
You can actually, we have a website, it's Theragun Reset. You can actually get on and schedule your appointment. So you just swing in, it's already prepaid, you're ready to go. Oh, next up, so-and-so, your turn. And it's we've soundproofed the area and kind of made it a little bit private so people feel a little more comfortable. But we've tried to think of everything when it came to that. But yeah, you schedule it online, bop in, or you can just swing in if there's time, and we'll treat you there.
What
$25.
What are you finding in terms of the type of people that are going there? Do you know what they're actually looking for? Are they just looking for that break, or are they, is it more sort of sports people that are looking for the
Well,
massage?
the first time they come, it's out of curiosity, I think. The second time they come, they know what they're going to get, and it's something I've heard people come off that thing say that's like an hour-long massage. Oh my God, how'd I go this long without knowing about this? And we've had several people that have actually come once and then booked out the next month the same time every other day. So we have repeating customers that are coming back in. And one of the comparisons I think is a fun one. My business partner actually uses this. If you're going to have a latte or a coffee and you're going to sit down with someone, it's a more engaging experience. You want a little shot of espresso, you can get on your day. This is kind of a shot of espresso.
Right. Yeah, I can kind of see it in working with other fitness businesses. You could kind of see it as just before you're going out of the gym or whatever. It's like, right, I'll book one of these.
Totally. Yeah, there's a few gyms over there. Orange Theory. There's a Equinox, and people those sorts of people are looking for that. So they suddenly see that and lock in on it, come down, they experience it, and then, it's really like something, once you know what it is, it's really hard to not want it again, especially after a workout.
And the flow sounds interesting as well, because I guess that's the challenge with your foam rolling, is it's something you've got to do on your own, and
yeah,
it takes time, whereas I suppose if it's in if you've got a short class where, everyone's in there, they're taking you through it, I suppose it kind of, it engages you a little bit more than just, having to do it on your own as well.
Yeah, it feels like there's more of a purpose, I think.
Yeah.
When you're doing it on your own, you're justifying like, it's been long enough.
Yeah.
But if you're in there and it's a purpose and it's a class, I think as humans, we sometimes need those boundaries.
Yeah. So
that's what I think they've been able to lock in on, and it's been really successful. You'll see more of those that pop up around.
So what's next for your company? I guess you've had some quite explosive growth from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Where are you going next? New products, new markets, new concepts? What do you see happening next?
We'll expand in retail. We want to get what we say. We want to get people under the guns, and if they're under the guns, then they start to understand that paradigm shift. We're always innovating. Like I mentioned to you, how many products we've come out with. We've come out with a new product every year. And we'll continue to do that. We're always thriving and striving to find ways to change people's behaviors. Whether it's our app, implementing this into your day at the office, finding ways for people to understand how to apply this in their life that's not traditionally in the workout world. And I think people see this as an athletic product, and they need to understand that's not where it started. It started with pain recovery in a clinic setting where we're actually relieving people's pain and tension. And it just happened to get into, that's sexy to follow someone on Instagram that plays for an NBA team and they're using it on the sidelines. But it's not really attractive to see me working on someone's foot in my clinic. So we'll expand into those areas, whether it's training. We have a lot of training modules. I'm constantly, that's my role in the company actually, is education. So I'm expanding our educational offerings. Now with the internet, you can access those things on our learning management system that makes it really easy for us to scale and grow. For a long time I was doing it face-to-face, one-to-one, one-to-many. And now, because of the ambassadors we have and the way we've grown as a company, my goal when I met my business partner was I literally said I want everyone in the world to have one of these. It wasn't financially driven. It was because I'd seen for so many years the positive effect it had on people's lives. So whatever we can do to expand that, whether it's retail offerings, doing these sorts of things and sharing our message with people, this is really important. I want to thank you for doing this because it really helps us share our message. And that's something special we want people to understand. I had a phone call this morning with one of our guys who's been working with us for a while, and he said, I realized that there's much more behind this product than just a product.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to be able to share with people. So for us, we'll continue to innovate. We'll continue to share the message, however that is. And we're going to grow in retail, and our education is key. If people know what this does, then they will implement it into their life and their behavior will change.
Yeah. And with retail, I guess retail is going for an interesting sort of place at the moment. Is, for your business, is it very much, your own stores selling direct to the end user, or do you still see the traditional model through a retailer as a way to grow and expand?
We've recently, yes, I do, to answer your question. Retail won't ever go away. I think there's an experience of going to a store and touching something and feeling it that, you buy certain things, lotion and soaps and stuff on Amazon because it's delivered quickly, but there's other things on the market, and we've been able to recently start working with Best Buy, Dick's, and those companies have really neat values. There's a foundation that Dick's has that we really want to get behind, and it's sports matters, and if you start taking away all these sports, you're taking away part of people's lives, and it's really fun to be involved with a retail store or company that has a purpose. So we're excited about that. We work with Nordstrom's. We sell through a lot of different retailers. So our retail store here in Century City isn't our only way to access it through a retail outlet.
Mm. And how do you see yourself dealing with, I guess, a lot of the brands that are coming and literally knocking the products off and selling it on Amazon at probably half the price?
Yeah, or less.
How are you going to sort of deal with that?
We are dealing with it. It's a race to the bottom for them, and you're going to start seeing them cheaper and cheaper. With as small as the world is nowadays, it's easy to knock a product off. We protected ourselves with IP, but more importantly, we have something that the other people don't, and that's our education and years of experience of doing that. So we're going to stay our course. We're going to continue we care. We want people to feel better. We want to improve your lives. And as a company, if you start digging in and realizing that, then those other products are just products.
Mm. So if people want to find out about the products, the concepts, the trainers that you work with, where can people find them? What are the best places for them to go?
Our website, Theragun.com. We also have an app, which is Theragun. You can get it on the Google Store or the Apple Store. It's free. And we're actually building a 2.0 version of that I'm really excited about. Instagram, it's Theragun, and mine is Dr. Jason Wersland on Instagram. And I'm constantly trying to share messages and education, as is our Instagram, the Theragun Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. We're constantly creating content to help people understand how to use these products. And if you looked at our website or our Instagram and compare it to any of these knockoffs, you start to see the difference.
Mm. Yeah. And final question then.
Yeah.
Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you believed is impossible and gone on to make it possible.
Yeah.
What would be a recent example of you escaping your own personal limits?
I had an experience actually flying from London where personally myself, I had to deal with some health issues that I hadn't had to deal with before. And slowing down and taking time, practicing what I preach, and taking the time to understand my body and what's happening and resting. That's really allowed me to become a better person, a better teacher, a better founder, a better dad, a better partner. So those are the things I think when you say that, and I'm still learning, it's still a process. But also I think on the business side, it's having amazing people around you that's really allowed me to recognize we are literally limitless. You can have anything. You just have to put in the time and make sure that your message with the universe is in sync. And I truly believe that. I have a mantra that I do every morning, and that's really what it is, about making sure that I have purpose, that I'm focused on what I think the universe can provide for me.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Jason, the reason we got this together is, we want to make sure that the people that listen to our podcast get a huge amount of value. And I certainly believe that there's a big opportunity and category in this, in this recovery space. And there's obviously a lot of knockoffs around the world, but I think, to be able to take a product and turn it into an actual business with everything that goes around it, certainly we've done our research, and we think you guys have got the right intentions, the right philosophy, and I think you make a very interesting partner. So I really hope that if someone's listened to this, that we've not just, it's great to know about the product, but I think it's great to sort of inspire people about some of the opportunities that are really just a few years old, and I certainly think it's worth taking the time to sort of learn more about this and make their own decision on where they go. You've done a great work in getting the business where you are, and I think there's some exciting future for you. So thank you very much for taking the time and being with us today.
Thank you as well. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.